Okay, folks, we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Trying to get Mr. Druzy on the line. Hey, there he is. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. So hopefully you guys have seen the the grades have been updated, and with the exception of one or two people that I've already uh, um, talked with, they're pretty much final. Um, I suppose if you have a concern, you can email me, but I don't know. Most people will be happy with the way things came out. But those should have updated overnight, either over Saturday night or over last night. And so today we are picking up with um, the last lesson from Unit 5, Lesson 17. And we may have to do this in 2 days or two streams because I have a hard out at noon. So wherever we are at noon, just going to um, Oop, there we go. Cut it off because of reasons. So let's see how far we can get through this. And if you have questions, Mr. Drusi will be in chat and also audible. Are you there, Mr. Drusi?
Of course, I'm always here.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sometimes you're in silent mode, or at least that one time. So we're going to try and do as much as we can of lesson 17, and whatever we don't get done, we'll do tomorrow. And then the next stream we'll do the create task stream. Remember, you should be working on your explore task. Choosing a good topic is as important as anything, which will give you a chance to, fulfill all the requirements for the written responses and whatnot. And the same thing will be true for the create task, but we will talk more about that when we get to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the final lesson, lesson 17. And lesson 17 is a new one, or a heavily changed one from last year. It's about using the canvas tool or design element, which allows you to draw, or it's a user interface element, a UI element that can be used for all sorts of visual implementations, I guess you'd call it. So it is sort of the drawing surface. Now, the App Lab as we know it, and what we work around in design mode, and the emulator itself is written as a canvas, but this canvas tool or tool set is designed to sort of use a canvas within a canvas. The entire 320 by 450 area is a canvas. That is where all the user interface elements and all the pixels show up. But we will only be talking about the actual canvas interface. And we are going to use key events just like before. The on event clicking or on event key down situation. It's going to be mostly clicking because it's a mouse based situation, and we get some other tools. In fact, we get all the canvas tools, which are super useful. And so the goal for this is to get through it and understand how this set of tools work, how the canvas tools work, but it's also possible that it might spark an idea for your create task. And remember, the create task is come up with your idea, and then we will figure out a way to make it happen. But if this sparks the idea, that's the goal. Or that would be nice. All right, so we have a new user interface element called Canvas, which is just like image or text area or whatever. Some thoughts on the apps that were handed in for the third quarter grades. Some people are confused, or I would say misusing text input and label. Like for text input, that's where something is where text is supposed to be put into by the user, and a label is just something that's permanent. But people are using the text input placeholder for like noun, and then having a text input for where the user is supposed to put in, when really it should be a label. This was for the Mad Lib thing from like the before time. But the idea is there are different user interface elements, design toolbox, whatnot. Okay, so we are going to use the canvas user interface element, and we could have it um, flush up against the edge, have it start at 0, 0, and then have its size be the entire width and all the way down to these buttons, which ignore the buttons for now. We will deal with those later. If you want a specific offset, like here, it has like a 5-pixel offset. You can have the starting position be 5, 5, which is 5 pixels in and 5 pixels down. And then if you want a border of 5 pixels all the way around, we need 5 pixels from this side and 5 pixels from this side, which is a total of 10 pixels, which means the width is going to be 310 because the total width is 320. So 5 on each side. So that's one way to center it, is just do some math. And then total height, you can leave. It kind of snaps every 5 pixels, so that makes it easy. And so this canvas, we'll leave it as canvas 1. There's only one right now. Starter code, we have buttons at the bottom, ignore those. Design mode, drag a canvas, resize it, give it a descriptive. Let's call this canvas main. And then in the code, we're going to call set active canvas and choose the ID. The only canvas we have is canvas main. And we're going to use the circle command. And let's have it go in the center of the circle, which is, or the center of the screen. This isn't the center of the canvas, but it's the center of the screen because it's 160 out of 320 and 225 out of 450, and a diameter of, well, it says 200. It's actually centered and a little bit down. But if we run it like this, we have a 200 pixel diameter. I think it's diameter. Let's see, what would it be? 200? No, radius.
Radius. It says it in the.
Oh,
yeah,
does it? Okay. Yeah. You're right. And
yeah, on the left
there
side.
we go. There we go. The parameters it's looking for. Circles are defined by their center point, x and y, and the radius. Rectangles are defined by the x and y of the top left corner, and its width and height. These are just things that you have to know. You can, I'm not sure if in AppLab you can, but there is like rectangle mode where it's defined by its, you can switch it to rect mode center, which would mean that the x and y refer to its center point of the rectangle, and then it still has width and height. But that's not for AppLab, so now you know that. Okay, so next thing, and also be aware that this entire lesson, or I think nearly this entire lesson, is a tied together link situation, which means that everything's going to carry over, and it's essentially just trying to build this final painting app where each of the buttons is going to be like a different pen or highlighter or color, and you can just use the mouse to draw on the screen. Okay, so we are going to use a for loop. We want to make 200 circles that are 20 pixels in radius with a random x and y for each one. Okay, so let's use a loop. We'll do a for loop. We'll have it happen 200 times. Let's put these in here. And remember we want a 20 pixel. Every time we loop through, we want a different x and a different y. And so we can still use random number. And here would be, if we use the full situation, you can tell that it's still, okay, let's put the x is always going to be 0, 0. And so the location is not based on the distance from the top left corner of canvas. It's from the top left corner of oh wait, is it? Hold on, let's see here. Let's make this. Huh. Is that, give me a second, let's figure this out. Yes, okay, so it is from the top left corner of the canvas, which you wouldn't be able to see it. It's the distance from the top left corner of here, in is the x, and down is the y. So you only have the area of the canvas to work with. If you put in numbers that are too large, they will not be visible. They'll just be over here, sort of in space. And that is a thing that when elements go off the screen, they still exist. The computer's still processing them. Like if you have, like you made some sort of like Flappy Bird game where you can click and it goes up past 0 on the Y, which is the top edge. You can set it up so that it's still keeping track of it however high, and then it'll fall back down appropriately, even if it's off the screen. But we want a random location, which our x, if you recall, is 0 to 310 because we have a 5-pixel border on each side, and we actually should change it, but our height is 385. So this is the canvas size is 385, so we'll go 0 to 385. Oh wait, hold on. 0 to 385. And if we make 200 circles that are 20 in diameter, okay, you can see some of them are going off the edge. If we want to keep them from going off the edge, we would need to shrink the available area for the circles by 20 or 10. By 20, I think, because yes, we need to make sure the x and y were completely on, so we need to make this 290. Then none should go off left or right. No, why would it be 10? This should have them go right to the edge of the... Oh, no, because of the offset. Yeah, that's right, it is 20. Because we are talking about from the center of the circle out, and here we would need 20 to 365. 365. This would keep all of the circles on the canvas, which isn't something they're asking for, but there you go. There's the thing. X and Y, random numbers, that's good. Okay, all right, changing colors. We have fill colors that are, and stroke. Fill is just like it sounds, it's the area in the middle of the circle, and stroke is the outline. And that term stroke is used in graphic design. It just means the edge of an element. And there's also, it's still RGBA. Remember, alpha is the transparency. So let's set stroke color, set fill color, and if we run that, they'll all be, there you go. And you could use just the words for the standard colors, and you could also use the RGBA format, which, let's see, how would that look? Black would be 0. Let's do this for the let's go 255, 255, 255, 1. And for the fill, let's go 0, 0, 0, 0.5. This should have red outline with light gray insides, or transparent. Nope, I may have broke it. What did I do wrong? Set fill color. First of all, let's not break everything. Oh, I've got to type in RGBA. That's why. RGBA, and then it's a string with, no, RGBA is a string, and it starts a parentheses of parameters, and then a close the string, and same thing here. And close a parentheses and a quote. Does that work? Nope. Okay. Fill color 0, 0, 0.5. Is there something weird with my RGBA? Do I not need quotes? What does it look like in block mode? So yeah, so that's not right. What does the syntax for RGB? Okay, so it just looks like that. Let's do that instead. RGB 255, 255. Oh no, that would make it white. So that wouldn't. Red is 255, 0, 0. Make that a solid, and then let's set fill color to an RGB of 0. 0, 0, and let's see if this works. There we go. Okay, so there's the fill color of transparency and the stroke color of red. And what you will notice is if you set active canvas after, it's going to make the first circle without any, this is the first circle where it's making a circle before, it's making a circle with the default characteristics, which are black stroke and black fill, I think. So it would be this one. So if we just made one, it wouldn't be that color because we haven't set the active canvas. These characteristics here, the stroke color and the fill color, are not changing anything because we haven't declared which canvas is active. Now the second time through, it will have, the second time through the loop, well, the first time through the loop, it sets active canvas. So the second time through the loop, those set fill color and set stroke color actually do something. So if we did here, if we did 2, one of them would be what we want, the other one wouldn't, because the first one doesn't do anything. So there again is not something they're asking for, but now you know. Okay, next one. Click to add dots. All right, so now we need an event handler. We want not everything to happen at the beginning. We want things to happen when the user does something. So we need an event handler. And instead of a for loop, we are going to create circles. We are going to do all of our canvas characteristics or properties at the beginning. We'll set active canvas. We'll change the stroke color and we'll change the fill color. And every time canvas main is clicked, we're going to get a circle at a random location somewhere on the canvas because we put in these parameters, which should be 20 in, 20 down. Yeah, that will keep it on the thing. So here we click, we'll get it in a random location with none of them going off because of that. Okay, so this is from our event handler. We don't have event location yet, but we will, where something will happen where we click. I'm guessing that's the next one. It's all different this year. Okay, so event parameters. In our event handler, we are going to use event. And yes, so we need to add event here. For all those times you dragged the on event out here and it wasn't being used and you got the yellow triangle, that's because we haven't used that event. And so instead of, okay, I think this one, it just wants you to test. Is this asking for a console log? Add a console log command. Okay, so instead of the circle, we're going to add a console log of, and the point of this is for figuring out what the location of the click. So we want to console log, is it event.x? Yeah, okay, and we can console log event.y, event.x, comma, event.y. We might have to put that into console logs. Okay, yeah, so it's giving us the x location and the y location, and if we click off of the canvas, remember the canvas is 5 pixels in, will it give us a negative x? No. Okay, so it only is running if we click on the canvas, which is, you guys remember from here, is this big. And if we click on that canvas, it will tell us the x and y location of our click. And let's see if we can get up here. See if we can get a number lower than 5. Yeah, so it's the x and y location on the screen, on the entire screen, not the x and y location based on the top left corner of the canvas. That's what event.x and event.y give you. That difference isn't going to make a huge impact, but it is something worth knowing. If something's not working, you have to know where it's actually counting from, which is the whole point. I'm guessing the next one is going to give us a circle at our event location. Okay, draw dots at click. Okay, so instead of, let's get rid of the console. Control slash is, or comment, is useful for not deleting code, but letting it run without a portion. And we're going to draw a circle at event.x and event.y. Let's see if this works. Okay, and so we have it set to click, and if you remember from one of the previous lessons with event handlers where there's a difference between click and mouse down and mouse up, if you get to this point in the lesson and you run it, you'll notice that it's kind of a weird feeling to click and not have the thing show up until you release the click, which you can't see when I'm clicking, but like click down and then release. Okay, that allows you, it's kind of a weird feel to be able to click and then move your mouse and release and have it come up there. To change that, you can change the event to mouse down if that's more the feel that you're looking for when you design your app. And then when you hit click, or when you click somewhere, it shows up right when you click. Okay, and oh, it wants event.offset x. Okay, so let's test something real quick. Let's put this over here. Let's move this way off. We'll have it set off. Let's have it 50 pixels in and 50 pixels down. And we'll have it just be 50 by 50. Is that not going to update? It doesn't update by itself. Okay, and let's go back and do a little testing, see how they've changed this. We are going to console log event dot x and event dot offset x. uses a capital X? I don't think it matters. Okay, we'll see if these are different. Let's run it. And, okay, event.x. It was working before. It does need to be lowercase. Okay, so, and in fact, let's put the circle back. It'll make more sense. Okay, so clicking our circle event handler, we're making a circle at event.x and event.y, but it's making, the AppLab makes a distinction between offset x, and so when we click here, we made, if I click here, weird. Why is it doing that? Event.x, event.y. Oh, okay. So, where I'm clicking is 50 pixels in and 50 pixels down or thereabouts of the screen, but it's drawing a circle 50 pixels in and 50 pixels down from the top left corner of the canvas. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, it might work. Nope. Canvas. Canvas not have background color? I guess not. So that wasn't very useful. Yeah. Okay, so I'm clicking right here where my mouse is, and it's giving me a circle that far offset from the canvas because it's been made the active canvas. So let's try to make a circle at event.offset x and event.offset y. What was interesting is that it looked like it was making a circle where I clicked because our canvas was originally only 5 pixels in and 5 pixels off, or 5 pixels in, 5 pixels down. Okay, that's really strange that it's counting the offset based on the difference, the actual x and y, and then applying it to the canvas. All right, so when you're working on canvas, you definitely need to use offset x and offset y. Okay, so let's go back and fix this. Let's make it obvious. Let's make it 20 by 20. And if we have a, if we want a border of 20 all the way around, okay, so we're at 320. We want 20 from this side and 20 from that side. That's 40. So that makes our width 280. Although, I don't know why it's not. It should be able to apply that just by. Yeah, it doesn't change that. That's strange. It should update it on the screen, but it does not. But if we get it to an x of 280, that means we have a, is it? 320. We're 20 in. Oh, okay, so this is not the width. This is the x and y location of the right edge. This is unnecessarily complex. So how is that possible? 20. Mr. Drusi, does that look balanced? It doesn't, though. Mr. Drusi.
I'm here. I'm thinking as to why it's doing all this.
No, that looks balanced. 300. Okay, so this x is the right edge of the canvas compared to the left side of the entire screen.
Yeah, it's where your cursor is, I think.
Yeah, not the actual. Yeah. Okay, so this right edge, the x is 300, but the width of the canvas is 280 because we're starting from 320. We're subtracting 20 from this side and 20 for this side, so the canvas is 280 wide, but it's still 300 from the left, and top down shouldn't really matter. Just make it look right. something like that. There we go. And we'll leave the salmon color in the back. That's not too terrible. All right, so we learned some stuff. Let's keep going. We should be able to have a longer stream tomorrow. There are factors beyond my control that are the reason why we have to shut off in 10 minutes. But, okay, so we want drawing a mouse move. So we have we're going to get a new event handler. Change the event type from your event handler from click to mouse move. Okay, run the program. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here I'm not clicking right now. It is just drawing circles as I move the mouse at let's see if it's giving me one every frame. Console log, let's create a variable. How can we do this? On mouse move, let's create a variable. Here, variable x is 0. Console log. This is unnecessary. We'll worry about that later. We don't have to worry about how many circles is actually drawing. Run the program dots, mouse moves. Good, we did that. Okay, draw when key is pressed. Okay, notice that event parameter includes information whether certain keys are pressed when the event fired. Start over, shift key. Okay, add an if statement inside your event handler. Okay, if event.shift key shift key okay, so this is only going to draw a circle where our mouse is and moves to if shift key is pressed. So I'm not clicking, I'm just moving my mouse and pressing the shift key, and it is working. Okay. Okay, it should only draw when the shift key is down. There's gonna be a way to display the values in event again. Let's see what this is. It's console log. Can we console log event? Yeah, so it's only console logging. So the event has all these characteristics. It is what's known as an object, which is a entirely different. It's similar to an array. It's a way of storing information, but information all about one thing. And there's a whole object notation. If you've ever used a JSON file, it's called JavaScript object notation, and that's what this looks like. It is the curly brackets, and it is a key value pair, and we're not going to get into that, but it's something you should know of. And the JSON JavaScript object notation is so effective and ubiquitous that other other programs use that file type as a source document. And so again, that's a thing. Yeah, so when we console log event, it is giving us all the characteristics of that event, the location, target, does it have speed, Yeah, movement, that sort of thing. Okay, and it's doing that every time we move the mouse. All right, so yeah, it's only making circles. The mouse move only makes a circle on uh, movement. So if I'm not moving, it's not actually making a new circle. So that was another way of solving the question from before. All right, again, lots of stuff that is just unnecessary for this lesson bubble, but is still useful information if you are interested in programming and happy to answer questions. We're happy to answer questions about that if you have some. And um, again, make sure you hand in or submit questions to the form. We're not done yet. Let me see if I can do one more bubble. Store your dots. Create a record. To this, we will append every event parameter. Okay, so we're going to create a blank or an empty array. We'll call it, they want to call it event list. Let's call it every circle, and we'll make it an empty array. So just we're making this we're defining this variable as an array just by doing open close brackets, and then we are going to append item, which is sort of like event.push if you've ever done regular JavaScript. So the list is every circle, and we want to append it with the event. And then we can can we console log? Let's try something again unnecessarily tricky. On event mouse up. No, we're not using mouse up. Okay, let's just put the console log in this event handler. See what happens here. Event, let's spell things correctly, helps. Let's see what happens here. So, okay, so I've not clicked the shift key, but I am moving the mouse, and it's creating new, it's console logging the contents of the array, which is nothing. If I hold down the shift key and move it, it is adding a new object, that circle, to that array, which is a lot of information now. And if I take a look at this, it will give me, let's start this over. So we'll just have a couple, hold down shift. Okay, so now we have this many objects in here. And so we have 8 circles here. And inside each item of that array, it has that object information. And they have it just having here. This is another way to use you can actually type stuff into the console here to get information about the program that you've just written. And unfortunately, that's where we have to call it for today. If you have any questions about anything, make sure you are adding it to you're creating you're using the form to put in your question. And I don't think we have any new questions, but if we do, we'll answer them tomorrow. I've got to sign off now, and we'll talk tomorrow. Mr. Rusi, do you have anything to add?
No, that's it.
Okie dokie. All right. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow.